Hello there, folks. Hey, this is Joe Ozu here. In today's video, we're going to do something interesting. We're going to send out Datalog files automatically, I hope. And currently we have an HMI running. Let me just show you what I got going on here. And I got a little 7-inch HMI running. And if I go to the main browser here, I want you to notice I got a number of data loggers in here. Log 1 is logging once a minute. I believe log 2 is doing the same thing with a different granularity, and log 3 is doing a log once, it looks like maybe an hour, we'll see here in a second, or once a day, and then log 4 is also once a day, but a little more intense. Actually, I think log 2 is per minute. Anyway, so this is what I've got running, and I want to have the HMI generate the file name and email that out. So let me go over here to Crimson. First off, if you're going to do this test or do this, you got to make sure that your email system's working correctly. So in this case, over here on the left in communications, let me shrink this down. I'm in the services section, mail manager. So if I hit edit contacts here, and you can see, team, that I've got in contact 0 right here. This one, whoops, this one right here is index 0, and I've got my email address here sitting in that place there. Whoops, why did it do that to me? I don't know. Anyway, so that's that. If I go to the SMTP, now I'm using Auth SMTP. You could use Google, you could use your own email server. You just want to make sure that this is all set up correctly with your email. And the first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that that works. Okay, so I'm going to go over here to display pages. And on display pages, I'm going to put a button here that will trigger a tag that will send out a message. So for my button, I'm going to go over here to primitives. I might go into two-state toggles. And here's something that doesn't matter. I'm going to use this one here for us to test. And actually, team, I'm going to put this on this page. Let me move this page up a little bit here. Okay, so we'll put this out here. And this we're going to use this just for testing. I want to make sure that that message works before I move forward. I want to make sure I can send out a message. So here I am, and I double-clicked on this. And I'm just going to create a flag tag called test message. And if I hit enter, Crimson is going to bark at me because it doesn't have it in the repertoire of tags. So I'm going to make this a flag tag and say yes. Okay. Now I'm going to change these pictures just a little bit. So I'll go over here to Symbol Factory, and in Gadget Switches 2 is where you can find these. So I'm going to take this green one and make that the on position, and when this is off, this will be off. When it goes to on, it'll make test message equal 1. So I'm going to click the OK button. All right, there's that. Now if I go to data tags over here, here's that flag tag, and I'm going to use on the triggers tab, when this guy goes hi, I want to test a message. So I'm going to choose active on. I'm going to go over here to the lower right hand corner and go into system. And in the system category, I'm going to expand the functions tree. And then if I look at the category in here called mail, expand the mail, there's a function here called send mail, this one right here. So if I right click on this and do show help info, it should open up the PDF. And I want you to notice that this function will send a message to whatever index is here. Well, I am index 0, so that's going to be 0 there for my first one. I can put in a subject and a body. And nice thing about our help documents is we also give you a nice example usually down here, which is really nice. Anyway, so let me close that little help document. Now that I see that's what I want to do, or what I want to use, I'm going to drag this function right here into the action field. You can also type it. Some people have problems with this dragging function for over here. Sometimes you have to hit it, click on it, and then click again, and then you can drag it. I've seen some people have problems with that. Anyway, notice here you got the 0, you get some really small quotation marks and some really small quotation marks here. So I'm going to put my cursor in here, and I'm going to put here, this is my subject in between those. And then I'll move over to these really small ones, and this is the body of my email. per message. All right, I'm going to hit the enter button, turns blue. Okay, so that button's going to turn that on, and then I'm going to automatically, after 2 seconds, turn this off. So down here, I'm going to say, all right, trigger 2, put in a delay of 2,000 milliseconds. And then down here for the action, I want to turn this function off. So I'm going to click on this edit button here, which brings up this. And I'll go over here to the right side, and I'm just going to drag this guy right here, space equal 0 to reset it, and hit the enter button. All right, so let's test this, team. Let's go ahead and save this to my hard drive. Let's go ahead and download it to my screen. All right, so we should have our HMI come back up here. Okay, here's our button. And my test is I want to see if I get a message from this. And I'm just looking for all. So I'm going to turn this on. 2 seconds later, it should turn off. Let me go over here to my email system here. I got a file set up here that anything comes from this HMI should go to HMI messages. That way I'm not showing with you guys all the 198 messages I have in my inbox. All right, so look here, team. Here's the message that came in. Let me make this a little smaller so you can see it. And there's the subject that was in there, and there's the body of the message. Perfect. I have validated that my HMI is able to send out an email, okay? If you can't do that, then there's no sense watching the rest of this video. If you can't do that simple test, you got problems deeper than where we're going. So make sure you can do that first before you move on to the rest of this. Okay, now the next thing is I need a way to generate a file name. And let me back up here. Let me go to Crimson here. I want to show you something. Over here in my data logger, you can see that I've got log 1, 2, 3, and 4 in here. Log 1 is a continuous sample set up for once a second readings, 60 samples, 30 files. And if I go to the contents, I've got a number of tags that are just creating random numbers. That's all they're doing. So that one is that setting there. If we go to this other one, the other one's taking a reading once a minute. It's keeping 60 samples, and I'm retaining 48 files. So this one's doing 60 readings. Each file has 1 minute. Well, each reading is in 1 minute intervals. So it's 1 hour reading, 60 samples, and then I'm keeping the last 48 hours. So it's like the TV show, first 48 hours. Anyway, I love that show, by the way. Log 3 is doing a reading once a minute, and it's taking a reading of 1440 samples, and it's holding the last 7 files. I got a question. Let me see something real quick here, my trusty calculator here. So if we take 1440 divided by 60, okay, so that guy there is taking a reading once a minute, and the file is going to contain readings every minute for the whole day long. There are 1,440 minutes in a day, so 24 hours times 60 minutes is correct. All right, and then this other one is a little bit more granularity. It's taking a reading once a second, and there are 86,400 seconds in a day, and it's retaining the last 7 days. So that guy is going to be a much bigger file than this one. Anyway, I just want you to notice that all of these are log 1, 2, and 3. That's what they're doing. If I go back to the web browser, and I'm going to go back here, I'm going to click on the view logs. I want you to see something. If I go to log 1, I want you to notice the structure of the file naming. So this guy is taking a reading once a minute, or is creating a file once a minute. Notice the file structure: 01, 06, 09, 12, 09, 13, 09, 11. If you pay attention to your file structure, eventually you're going to see a pattern. And that pattern is, depending on how often you're creating files, it's going to have to do with the date and time. In this case, today is January 6th, and right now we're at 9:14 a.m., 9:11. So this is the month, the day, and then the time in hour and minutes is what these are. So what I want to do here in Crimson is I'm going to go over here to the right side, and I need a way to use the real-time clock in the Redline unit to generate these values, if you will. So I'm going to create a new, over here in data tags, I'm going to create a new integer tag, and I'm going to call this one, let's call it month. Okay. So this is going to get me at least the current month. I'm crossing my fingers hoping. And what I'll do is I'm going to go to the right side here, go to System. I'm going to collapse the mail folder. And there's a folder in here called Get Time. And you have all these functions in here, get hour, get days, whatever, and so forth. And there's a function here called Get Month. Let's see if there's any help on this. Okay, so this one here, oh, it's all summarized. Gives you the month, day, whatever. This is awesome. And do they give you an example? They do a little bit. They give you this Get Now function here. Okay, so let me show you how to use this. I'm going to grab the Get Month, and I'm going to drag and drop it right here into the internal. Notice, team, that there's a 0 in here. Well, I'm going to make that be the function Get Now. So I'm going to type Get Now, open, close parentheses, enter. That should return the current month, crossing my fingers. Let's go ahead and create another tag over here. And let's call this one, I guess I'm going to call it date. Do I want to call it date? Yeah. Well, hold on. I got to find out the date. I think that's the date of the month. Let me look here real quick here. Returns the day of the month of, okay, I think so. I think that's correct. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and call this one date. And I'm going to grab the get date function and drag it right here. So see, I'm having a problem here. I'm going to grab this guy right here, drop it right here, boom. And in here, I'm going to put in here, Get Now, open, close parentheses, enter. So that's all part of that function. And then I also want to get the hour and the minute, because if you remember, I'm just picking on this. This has got the month, the day, the hour, and the minute. So I'm going to create another tag here and call it my hour. And I want to get the hour, so I'm going to grab this guy and put it right here. And inside the parentheses here, I'll type Get Now, enter. And then I'm going to create another one called minutes, or just minute. And there's a Get Min right here, this guy here. I'll drag it right here. Okay. All right, I think we got our tags. Now we want to test this to see what happens. So I'm going to go here to Display Pages, go over here to the right side. I'm going to grab all of these by highlighting the month. Hold down my Shift button, click the minute. That highlights all those Yahoos. I'm going to drag them all out here like this, and I'll make these guys be a little bigger. And I also have on your team, just so you know, on this display page down here, I have the time primitive. What I mean by that is over on the right side, in primitives home directory, in core primitives, down below right here, there is a primitive that has the date and time in it. And what I did is I double-clicked on this, or I dragged it out here, double-clicked, and I went to the Format tab, and I told it to show me the date, then time, and then I did 24-hour military format for this. I have seconds. You don't have to see that, but I did that on here. And also made the year 4 digits, but it could be 2. Anyway, I want to really see the military time. So I'm going to click OK. Let's go ahead and save this. And let's download. Let's see what we get for here. I just want you to notice something. Let me go back to the web page, see if it loads here. Come on, Kofi. What's the problem with the web page? All right. So notice, team, here's what I got for values. I got the first month, it's January. Today's the 6th, that's true. It is currently 9/19, so that is all correct. Okay, so that there format, in a roundabout way, is kind of the structure I need to generate a file name, okay? So I got some things there. However, all of these are in integers, and I need to create, I think, an ASCII string to do this function. Now's a good time to talk about the function. What I'm talking about here is I want this HMI to send me the message or the email data log file. So if I go over to the lower right-hand corner and go into System over here, I'm going to collapse the tree for time, go back into the folder called Mail, expand the Mail, and there's a function here called SendFileEx. There's also a send file. Let's look at the difference here. Let me right click on this one. Okay, this one says it'll send the file as well. Okay, now I was using, in my testing, I was using this one. Let's see what's the difference with this guy. I don't really know what is the difference. It really doesn't jump out at me as to what is the difference between these two functions. So I'm going to use that one. Let me look. There's another one here. What's this one do? Let's oh, this one here you can type in an email address here. Oh, well, that's interesting. Okay, that's so fascinating. Sorry, I'm deviating here. Well, I'm going to use this function here. This is the one I'm going to use for this test. And this one here, I've got to use my index here, okay? I've got some kind of file name structure here I got to put together, okay? And then this is going to be just the subject of it. So is that correct? Yeah, that's correct. This is the file and subject. Okay, all right. And I'm going to leave that open for now because we'll probably come back to that. So if I go over here to communications, let me think here. Okay, so I got everything here, but I need to convert these into a ASCII string, okay? So if I wanted to look into a string, let me look here. If I collapse the mail tree and go down here to a category called strings, expand that, there's a function in here called int to text, which should take an integer number and convert it to an ASCII string. Let me right click and show helpful on this. Oh, okay. Yep, it does. And we're going to do base of 10, and we're going to do only 2 characters for this. So let's try something here. All right. So I'm going to go with that context, and we got this. This is here good. Okay, so let me ponder my thoughts here. How about if we create a tag, a string tag right below month here? So I'm going to right click on month, and I'm going to do new. I'm going to create a string tag. Okay, and I'm going to call this one month. Oops. Underscore ASCII. Or maybe I'll do TXT, text, okay? All right, month text. So I'm going to use this function with the month tag. So what I'm going to try this, Tim, I'm going to grab this function and I'm going to drag and drop it right here, okay? Notice you got 0, 0, 0 in here. So we've got to give it the tag here, which is going to be month. So I'm going to go over to the right side. I don't know if I can do this. I'm going to hit this edit button here. I'm going to hit the edit button here. Brings up this little window here. And now I'm going to place month in here right after the parentheses. Whoops. Okay, that didn't work for crap. Let me try it again here. Let me go here. All right, I'm going to click in here. Okay, now I can bring this. Notice I'm following the line. I'm trying to drop it right there. I'm going to get rid of the 0. Okay. I need a radix or a base of 10, and I want this to be 2 characters long. So I'll go 2 and hit the enter button. Okay, that took it. Supposedly, that's going to convert that to an ASCII string. Okay, so I'm just curious. You know what? I'm curious, team, if I can do a smart duplicate on this, or I can do a copy and paste. But I'm going to I'll try a smart duplicate. So I got a smart duplicate of that. It's basically just copy paste. I'm going to move this one down below the date, and I'm going to change the name of this one to date underscore txt. And on this one, I just have to change the month in here to be the date tag. So you can either hit the edit button here and do it this way, or you can click in there. But I'm going to just put my cursor here. And I know the name of the tag over here is date. So I'm not going to risk my crappy drag and drop skills. I'm going to type the word date. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'll just do a copy this time. Copy. and then I'll click on this here and I'll do a paste. This one's going to be the hour underscore txt, and on this one I just need to change that date to an hour here. Enter, and then I'll do paste one more time here, and this one's going to be the minute.txt, and I'll do edit. All right, there we go. Now let's test this. We want to see if we get the same value, but it's going to be an ASCII string. So display pages on the left, go to the right side, and I'm just going to do this team. I'm going to highlight all these now, and I'll drag them back out here like this, make it a little wider. All right, let's save it. Let's download and let's see what this does. Perfect. Now it looks weird because it's the same values, but this is an integer value and this one's an ASCII string. So it's a string format. Okay. All right, that looks good. Now the next thing I want to look at is I think I need to find out the folder here. And according to the example, do I not have the help document open anymore? What did I do with my help? So let me go over here again. And go to my mail here. SendFileEx. It has a wonderful example here. Right here, it has that, okay, so and I'm running with the default structure here. So it's logs, this part right here. So I don't know if I can copy this. No. But anyway, so I'm going to go over to Crimson here, now that I see that format. And I'm going to ponder here. I think I'm going to create one more string tag that's going to have that folder. So I'm going to go back to data tags over here. I'm going to go ahead and create another string tag, and I'm going to call this one folder. Okay. Now this folder is going to be a constant that's going to have this format right here to the slash, this format. So watch what I do here. I'm going to go back to Crimson, and up here where it says source, I'm going to use the word general, and I'm going to put in the double quotations slash logs slash log 1 slash double quotations. Whoops, that's not a slash. That is right there. Double quotations. I'm going to hit enter. It took it. And make sure that's right. I want to make sure that matches logs log 1. That matches exactly, if you ask me. That's okay. That's the folder. I think it looks good. All right. So now what I got to do is I need to take this name and add some things together to get my actual file name that I want to attempt to send. So I'm going to create one more tag here. It's a string tag, and I'm going to call this one file name. Oops, didn't click on it right. Okay, so file name is going to be folder with this other stuff and a bunch of things. And I think what I'm going to do to make this happen, team, I'm going to go over here to programs. I got some programs in here that I was playing with, and I'm going to go ahead and, well, matter of fact, I should show you. I've got some programs here that is basically doing the exact same thing we're doing with tags, except for it's a program format. So there's this one here. So I'm going to create a new program here to put this together, and I'm just going to right click and do new program or whatever. But so I'm going to take in this new program, I'm going to use this to put together my whole file name. So I'm going to grab the file name tag over here, drag it out here. I'm going to do a space equals space, and we know that the first thing I need is I need the folder. So I'm going to grab the folder name, put it here. I hope that's correct. I'll do a space. I want to add that to whatever structure I'm doing. And let me just back up here. Hold on. Let's just regroup here. I want to send out, for this test, I want to send out the file name, not the most recent, because it's not completed. So I might pick one of these other names. Maybe I'll say, you know, what happened 2 minutes ago or something. I'll say maybe what happened 2 minutes before. Well, if that's the case, I'm going to go ahead and, well, let me go back to here again. Hold on. Notice it's got the year, or it's got the month, the date, hour, and minute. Okay. So I'm going to grab the month text, pull it out here, space, do a plus. I'm going to grab the date text, drag it out here, do a space, plus. And then I'm going to grab the hour text, drag that out there, space, plus. And then I'm going to grab the minute text. However, well, I'm going to grab the minute text anyway. I'm going to change this a second. I'll put that here. And then I need to add at the end of this the .csv format. So I'll do a plus, double quotations, .csv, double quotations, semicolon, enter. Now, notice the diamond over here is yellow. That's because I have not translated or compiled. So let's see if I did this correct. I'm going to hit the translate button. Boom. Program's correct. I'm going to rename this one, and I'm going to call it create, file name. Okay? Because that's what it's doing. Whole folder name. All right, so that's the program. Now, I want to make sure, I want to see if this works correctly. So I'm going to go back to display pages here, and I'm going to go to the right side, data tags. I'm going to grab this tag out here like so, but I'm going to make this be longer because I think, team, I believe it's going to show us, it should show us a pretty long set of stuff here. And then I'm going to put a button on the screen that I can manually call that program just to see if it works. So over here in core primitives, and I'll just go down here to a bevel button, click on it, and I'll just put a button out here. And I'll right click on it, and I'm going to call this one right here. I'm going to call this one run code. We'll just call it run code. And then I'll change this to white. If we go to the action tab, we can hit the pull down here and say user defined. And anytime I release the button, I'm going to call that program. So over here to the right, go to programs. I'm going to grab the create file name and put it here in the on released. Click OK. And now I'm going to make this guy just a little bit bigger. Zoom in. Okay, let's see what happens. I'm going to go save this and download it. Let's go back to our web browser. We should get something like probably this, but let's see here. Go back to my remote view. What is wrong with this thing? All right, so if I push this button, let's see what it comes up with. Oh, look at this. This is perfect. It comes up with the file name exactly, 0939. It's 39. However, I don't want to use that number because it's not a completed file. So I want to kind of back up just a little bit. So I'm going to go over here to data tags, and I'm going to take the minute tag, this one right here, and I'm just going to put my cursor in here, and I might do a minus, say, 2, for instance. So theoretically, that should take that number and minus 2 and give us a file name 2 minutes before. Let me try this. Save it and download it. Let's see what happens here. All right, let's try now. So look, 37. We're currently at minute 39. That's perfect. That looks perfect. Okay. So in my theory now, my goal is next is I want to see if I can send this file to me based on this button right here. We already tested this button. We know we got just a generic email, but now we want to see if we can send this file. So remember this button. It's on our display page. If I right click on this button, jump to, we happen to be doing all that right here at this section, okay? Well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to hit the pull down here and choose complex, which will pull up the bigger editor here. And instead of this function we were doing here, I'm going to actually text this out. That way I leave it in here. And I'll go to the next line. We want to use the SendFileEx this time, which is over here in System. We're going to grab this guy. We'll drag it out here like this. Notice my parentheses in the, or my cursor's blinking in there. And if I go back to my help document, we know that I've got to put in the recipient, whatever index number that is, which right now is 0. We got to put the name of the file, the subject, and the flag tag should be set to 0, I guess, whatever. Okay, so let's go back to Crimson. So we know that the first thing is 0 is my index. The next is the file name. Now, according to what I've seen, based on what we've done, the file name happens to be this tag called file name. So I'm going to drag this guy right here. Boom. I'll go comma again. The next is the subject of this. So I'm going to go Datalog file, double quotations, comma again, and then the instruction said 0. So I'll do a 0. I'm going to go ahead and put my cursor at the end here, semicolon, and up here I might put send Datalog file. Oops. I'm going to hit enter. It accepted it. All right, that looks good. Let's try this, team. Let's go ahead and save this. And let's go ahead and download it to our screen. Okay, I do need to add where this is automatic, but I'm going to run code, generates the file name. Now the file name has that tag. And if I turn this on, that should trigger it, and it should send the message. And then over here in my email, let's see, cross our fingers. Let's see what happens. Hey, look at here, team. Look at here, email came in, and it has the Datalog file. If I double click on it, yep, there it is. There's the file, date, time, structure. Oh, that's so cool. All right, let me close that. Now we're going to go a little further here. Okay, since that worked so well, let's just put all this together in one complete function. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to copy this line here. You know that works. I'll copy that, puts it on that back burner. I'm going to go over here to Programs, and we know that this line here created our file name. So I'll go ahead and insert that. That's part of that there. Okay, that looks good. Looks great. Okay, I like that. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, what we want to do next is we want this to call at some certain interval. Now, we have our date and time thing working. We've got our tags over here that do our time and so forth. What if I said to you that I wanted to have this function run every hour at 5 minutes past the hour? So basically I'm saying whenever the time, the minute equals 5, for instance, I want to send this out. So I have this minute thing here. We did this -2, and we got that working. But I'm going to create another tag that basically I'm going to ask when it equals 5 seconds. I'm going to do this on the seconds, though. So I'm going to go over here, and here's my minute tag. I'm going to go right here. I'm going to right-click, insert a new numeric tag, and I'm going to call this seconds. Okay, I'm doing the seconds, well, because I already got one called minutes, and we can use this for testing. Actually, let me do this. Hold on. Let me call this minutes 5. We'll call it minutes 5, okay? And the reason I'm calling it minutes 5 is because I'm going to say at some interval, maybe every 5 minutes, I'll send the message. So I'm going to hit the pull down here, go to my general, and I'm just going to type the get min, open the get now, open close. Okay, so there it is there. All right, so that's going to just give us that minimum there. Yeah, this is all right. So I'm going to actually change this team to seconds. I am going to get seconds, and I'll tell you why I'm doing this. Every time the seconds rolls over, I'm going to do a counter, and basically every 5 minutes, I'm going to have this thing generate a message. So every time this value in roundabout equals 0, I know it's reset. So if I go here to triggers, go here and say data match, anytime it equals 0, you'll see this in a second, the seconds, I'm going to add to my counter. So I'm going to say something like minutes, I'll just call it timer. Timer equals timer plus 1. So, of course, when I hit enter, it's going to bark at me. Great. Okay. There's my timer right there. And then I get a new tag here called timer. Okay. So if I click on the timer one, I'm going to say that anytime that it equals 5, well, actually it's 4. We'll go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Anytime it equals the value 4, we're going to call that program and we're going to reset this thing. So if I want to call the program, I'll just go over here to the right. I'm going to use this create file name. I should probably rename it, but I'm going to call this guy right here. Boom. That's going to call the program. And then I think I can also do is down here, let's go here to the programs. And after this program executes, I'm going to reset my timer back to 0, like so. Okay. So let me just run through this logic again for you to understand. So I got this minutes thing, this minutes 5. Maybe I should call it, maybe I'll call it seconds. Let me rename this seconds because that's what it really is. Okay, so it's seconds. It's going to count the seconds. That's all it does. And will it count seconds? Yeah, it will. Yeah. So then on triggers, whenever it equals 0, I'm going to increment my timer. So every time we start, okay. Then when this thing over here in timer, I'm asking, okay, when it equals 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, that should be 5, it's going to run the create file name, which is going to send the message, and it should send me the data log that happened roughly 2 minutes ago. All right, so let's try this out. I'm going to go over here to display page. I'm going to go ahead and put on my page just so you can see. I'm going to put the seconds guy out here like this. And I'll put the timer out here just so you can see that as well. Let's put this here. Okay. All right, let me save this. Maybe I'll make these guys a little bigger. Hold on here. Okay. All right, let's try this out. Boom, save it, download it. Okay. Let's see if it loads here. Oh, I need to make this field a little bigger. Hold on, team. Make this a little bigger. And you know what else I need to do is I'm going to make the timer tag be retentive, because when I go to download this, if I was testing this, it's always going to reset to 0. So I'm going to make the timer tag be retentive, like so. All right. Okay, let's try this. Boom. Okay, let's see what happens here. All right, so there it is. So we're going to wait till this gets to number 4, which will then trigger this. So I'm going to pause the video, and I'm going to just let it run. I'll pause it and I'll come back here a second. All right, team, if you look here, I got this up and running, and we got this set to 3. When it triggers at 4, when this goes 4, we should get a file name in that picks the file from 2 minutes ago, and it should send us an email here in our folder. So let me clear these guys out. There we go. Okay, let's see what happens. Let's cross our fingers and see if we get a file name in, and we'll see if it generates a message. Let's see. Here we go. There's the file name. It should be 314. And if we look at my email system in the background, let's see if I get an email. Booyah! I don't know why it took so long, but it did. Look, there's the message. There's the file. That is fantastic. Okay, So let's take this a step further, and let's say that at midnight tonight, I would like to send me the file for the whole day. So I got to look at the file, the name structure, and notice this one is, I would want to send, of course, today's file. So it would be this yesterday's date. You know, this is today's date, but it'd be this one here at midnight. It'd be this one here tonight. So it goes year, month, day, and 00. Year, month, day, and 00. Okay. So I'm going to go over here to my program. Since I know it's year, month, day, and 00, I'm going to put a little note in here just to tell me here. So I'm going to go down here and go year, month, day, 00.csv. Here's my example, okay? So we had up here this file name, and let me just roll with this. In this case, I'm going to comment this out. I mean, I'm still letting this thing run, so it'll probably send us a couple messages. And I'll leave this alone here, okay? So I'm going to grab file name, drag it out here like this. We know this works. I'm going to go ahead and grab, we know the folder is correct, so we'll put the folder, where to go, right here. Actually, the folder is a little different because I want to send out the daily amount. So let me backtrack just a second here. I'm going to send out log 3 stuff. Is that right? Let me look here. Hold on. Maybe I can stretch this a little bit. Does it show right here as well? Let me see. Not really. No. Those are huge. Yeah, we'll stick to our log 3 idea. So I think it's the same directory, but it's going to be log 3. So if I go here, and I'm going to go to data tags, and I'm going to change this here, not file name, folder, I'm sorry, folder, and change this to number 3 here. Okay, there we go. All right, back to here. So we're going to grab our folder out like that. And we know we need the year. Did I make a year one? I didn't make a year one, but I'm going to do this, team. I'm going to go ahead and plus. And I'm going to wrap this all into one this time. And what I mean by that is I'm going to use that function int to text. Where did it go? Down here in strings. Right here. I'll grab, oops. Put that right here. And we know in here we want to get year. Openers get now. Okay. And then 2. Okay. Oh, get year. This should be an open. Sorry. This should be an open. Get year, get now. Okay. And then I'm going to do a comma 10, comma 2 characters. Okay. Let me just check my syntax here by just double checking. Too many arguments. Oh, I'm missing a close parenthesis. There we go. Let's see what happens here. Okay, that's good. All right, I just checked it. That's all. Okay, so that's going to cover the year. Plus, I want to do the exact same thing, but I need to get the month. So I'm going to copy this section, Control V, and I'm going to put here, instead of get year, I'm going to put month. M-O-N-T-H. Okay, and I'm going to do this, team. I'm going to put a comma or an enter. So this is all combination. I'll do another plus. Okay, and then after that we need the day. So I'll do Control V, and this one we decided was date. Okay, and then at the end of this whole thing, I'm going to do a quotation CSV, end quotation, and a semicolon. Okay, so that should do that. that should make my file name. Let me double check by compiling. Perfect. And I'm going to move this because I don't want to call it, this follows in sequence. So I'm going to copy or cut that from there, and I'll move it down here. Let me go to the end of this line. I'll place it there, and I'll move this down below so we run this at the end of all this. So we'll go right here to the end. Okay. Oh, and you know what? I'm going to run this program at 12:05 a.m. tonight. So I want to make sure that the date is actually yesterday's date, not today's. So I'm going to subtract 1 from this to get yesterday's file. So I'm going to put in here, I'm going to do a little bit of modification here. This is the function. So I'm going to do an open parentheses here, add that. This gets me my value, but then I'm going to do subtract 1 day here, close parentheses. Okay, let's compile. Perfect. All right. So that's going to call, that's the program to send the file out at midnight that makes the structure. Okay. And now I just need a tag that's going to trigger at 12:05 a.m. every day. 12:05 a.m. What would I know about that time? Well, that means the clock for that day, because our clock will actually go from 0 to 23 for 24 hours. So that means the hour would be 0, the time would be 5, and the seconds would be 0 right at 12:05. So if I was to go ahead and create a data tag that only went true when hour equals 0, minute equals 5, and seconds equals 5, that would be my trigger. So if I go over here to my data tags on the side here, this one's still doing the other one, so we'll leave that alone. I'll go down here and choose a flag tag, and I'm going to call this one, I'm going to call it AM 12:05. I had to put the text first, okay? AM 12:05. I only want this to go on when it's 12:05. So I'm going to hit the edit button here. I'm going to go down here. For this length or this long, I'm going to choose complex. And I'm going to say return, open parentheses, and then I'm going to do get hour, open parentheses, get now, open close. Okay, and close, whoops. And I'm going to ask the question, does it equal 0? Okay, that's one condition. And then I'll do another one, multiple conditions, so I'll do that. And then I got to ask, does the minute equal 5? So I'll put get min, open get now, and then 2 equal signs, 5. Okay, I think I'm missing an open parentheses here. Yeah, no, I got this one here. Okay, so that does that. I think I'm missing one over here. And then the other condition is when the seconds equals 0. So I'll put get seconds. I think that gets sec. Get now. And equals 0. Okay. Let me go to the start of this. See if I can do it. Enter. Tab. Let's go here. Okay, there's my conditions. So when the hour equals 5, or 0, 0, when the minute equals 5, and when the seconds equals 0. I think I have all my parentheses correct. I need one more here. All right, let me see if I hit accept. Unexpected place. Where did I? Maybe I'm missing another. Okay, let's try this. Huh. All right, I got the structure correct. I was missing a parentheses, or had too many parentheses at the beginning, but here I have it. So I'm going to put up here return on 12:05 a.m. Okay, that tag will only go high at 12:05, and then at 12:05, I want it to send out run that program. So if I go to triggers, hit the pull down here and choose active on, and I'll go over here to programs. I'll just grab this and drag it right here. I don't have to do any other resetting. I mean, even though that timer is reset, that should do it. You know what I should have did? Oh well. So that should do it. Now I've been letting this run for a little bit. I haven't looked, but I assume that maybe I've seen a couple other files come in. So let me go look at my email here. Hey, look at this. Yes. So I haven't downloaded in a while, so this is working perfect. I feel pretty confident that my idea here will work great. So let me just run through this for you. I got this tag with this logic that is set to find out when it is 12:05 a.m. Let me put a note in here. Well, let me put it right here. Yep, a.m. Okay, so this program is going to return a 1 at 12:05 a.m. I guess I better put a, don't have to, but I'll put it like that so you know it's 12, because that's when the clock will equal 0, 5, and 0 seconds. Okay, so that's that there. At that point, the triggers will call the program. The program is over here, and it's going to find the year. It's going to find the month. It's going to take the day, but it's going to go back one day. So I want to get yesterday's file, not today's, because today just started theoretically at 12:05 a.m. And then it's going to send it out, and then of course it's still got this timer. Really not do anything with that. Yeah, and that since I'm doing this, I'm going to go over here. Well, I'm going to go over here in this timer function. This was calling the program before. I'm going to actually just kind of clear this, or I'm going to get rid of this here and not do anything. So that's not going to call it. I think I can leave that alone. I mean, I guess I could just say here, reset the timer, just to give it something here. All right, let's. I'm really going to stop the video, and that should do the whole test right there. Yeah. Yep. All right. Thanks. See you.